Cartoons are still one of the most popular forms of TV entertainment going. The use of animation captures the imagination of people both young and old, and sometimes classic series are brought up to date and made even better than the originals. Be sure to watch to the end to see how the Powerpuff Girls has been improved for a new generation. If this is your first time visiting our channel, then make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Here are 5 cartoon reboots that are way better than the original. 5. DuckTales. For those of us who grew up in the 1980s, DuckTales was a major part of our childhoods. The story of Donald Duck's nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and his billionaire Scottish uncle, Scrooge McDuck, was the very first time that the legendary Disney studio had made a cartoon that had been syndicated. A total of 100 episodes were made over 4 series. The show was a massive hit, spawning a spin-off movie and a classic video game. So when news came out that the show was in line for a remake, starting in August 2017, Disney fans held their breath and hoped that it would live up to the original. But guess what? Disney isn't a studio known for letting its fans down, and the new DuckTales was even more than the show's biggest supporters could have ever hoped for. Showrunners Matt Youngberg and Francisco Engone had grown up with the original cartoon and wanted to bring it back for a new audience. They re-recorded the legendary theme song with singer-songwriter Felicia Barton and hired a star-studded voice cast. Top of the bill was Scottish actor and former Doctor Who star David Tennant, who lent his talents to voice Scrooge. We loved the original, but we think that the new DuckTales, which has received rave reviews, blows it out of the water. 4. My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. Back in the day, My Little Pony was the #1 kids TV show for literally millions of children all across the world. The story of a group of magical horses wowed youngsters and made a pretty penny for franchise originator Hasbro too. So when it was announced in 2010 that both the toys and the cartoon were due for a reboot, people didn't know what would happen. We think the biggest surprise was that My Little Pony, so often seen as a thing for girls, would attract a range of male fans, known as bronies. These young and not so young men helped blow apart gender stereotypes. Let's be honest, people who remember the original phenomenon had absolutely no idea that this was going to happen, but the show's main themes of working together, using kindness to defeat evil, and the power of friendship reached out to a whole new audience. It didn't exactly hurt matters that the new show entitled My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic had a radically new animation style either. Gone were the soft, gentle cartoons of the 1980s. They were replaced with hard-edged, comic book-style psychedelic artwork. These, coupled with an increase in humor and excitement, meant that the new show was able to absolutely knock the socks off the original. That said, we'll always have a soft spot for the first series. 3. Scooby-Doo: Mystery Incorporated. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Is one of the best-loved and most iconic TV cartoons of all time. The stories of teenagers Fred, Velma, Daphne, Shaggy, and their Great Dane, Scooby-Doo, were smash hits across the globe. It was yet another classic cartoon from Hanna-Barbera, and it led a whole lot of spin-offs. While it's cool if you like the follow-up shows, we don't think they quite match the 1960s original until Scooby-Doo: Mystery Incorporated hit our screens. It was in 2010 that Warner Brothers announced the new show. It told the story of how they got together and started solving mysteries. What was so invigorating about the new show was that it simultaneously took the show back to its roots and into new places. Acknowledging that a franchise that started more than 40 years ago would have fans all ages, it tipped its hat to a range of pop culture references. Viewers would have spotted nods to other beloved shows like Wacky Races and the 1960s Batman. They would have also seen homages to legendary rock acts like the Velvet Underground and the Ramones too. And they would have got away with it if it wasn't for you pesky kids. But while we love the original Scooby-Doo, we think that Scooby-Doo: Mystery Incorporated is even better than the original. 2. Extreme Ghostbusters. Most of the shows we are looking at today are reboots of the original cartoons. In some cases, they are the first time the classic show has been updated for a new audience. In others, they are the best in a pretty long line of remakes. But this next one is a little bit different. You see, back in the 1980s, it wasn't uncommon for a live-action movie to turn into a smash hit kids cartoon. And the biggest in this sub-genre was the real Ghostbusters. Taking the 1984 classic movie, it animated the main characters, made Slimer an icon, and kept Ray Parker Jr.'s stone-cold legendary theme tune. For a lot of the kids born in the 80s, Peter Venkman, Egon Spengler, Ray Stantz, and Winston Zeddemore were cartoons before they were flesh and blood. But everything changes, and in 1997 there was a new generation of Ghostbusters for fans to enjoy. Egon stayed and served as a mentor for Kylie, Eduardo, Garrett, and Roland. Joining them were original Ghostbusters secretary Janine and, of course, Slimer. The program had a grittier, more streetwise animation style. This was matched by a zeitgeisty, grunge-punk version of the classic theme tune. The show dealt with big topics, tackling racism, prejudice, and diversity. The shock to the system it provided paved the way for the 2016 all-female movie remake. We're still fans of the real Ghostbusters, but Extreme Ghostbusters is, we think, an underlooked classic. 1. The Powerpuff Girls. When it comes to rebooting a much-loved classic series, timing can be everything. If you do it too soon, people will shrug their shoulders and wonder why you've done it. If you leave it too long, it makes your job harder. Fans will have taken the show to their hearts and won't countenance the idea of remaking it. So we think the gap between the original Powerpuff Girls and its reboot, 14 years, is perfect. There's enough of a break for people to get nostalgic, but it's not too long that viewers' ideas of what a show is get fixed. For kids growing up around the turn of the millennium, the stories of Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup were thrilling and iconic. When the Cartoon Network announced it was rebooting the show in 2016, lots of us were really excited. Not only were the Powerpuff Girls back, they were better than ever. They still had their superpowers bestowed on them by Professor Utonium spilling Chemical X on them while in the lab. But the shows were now more character-driven, and there was even just a dash of social commentary. With the addition of the fourth Powerpuff Girl Bliss, the show had 25% more. So we think the new Powerpuff Girls is even better than the original. But what do you think? What's your favorite cartoon reboot? And which classic cartoon would you like to see rebooted? Tell us in the comments. That wraps up our 5 cartoon reboots that are way better than the original. If you liked it, check out 10 cartoons that look different in other countries. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to The Things.